This commercial airplane was perfectly ready for landing at the airport, but few meters before landing, it came across an incident. One flying bird rapidly crashed into the airplane's cockpit. Fortunately, the screen did not break and the airplane landed successfully on the runway. Not all airplanes are lucky enough to avoid these incidences. Welcome to yet another video on Fact Central. US Air Flight 1549 was perfectly ready to take off from the New York airport. The day was 15th January 2009 and the time was 3:25 pm. After 1 minute, the aeroplane took off. The pilot also updated about the takeoff to the control room as per the daily routine. It was an Airbus 320 aeroplane which had 150 passengers and 5 crew members. In the next 2 minutes, the aeroplane gained a substantial amount of altitude, but at the height of 2,818 feet, the pilot saw a group of Canadian geese birds which were approaching the aeroplane. During this moment, it was not possible for the pilot to change the direction of the aeroplane. It was a situation which no other pilot would like to come across. These birds not only crashed into the aeroplane, but the powerful turbo engine of the aeroplane sucked these birds into it. Normally, in these situations, the engine of the aeroplane stops working, so with the help of a secondary engine, the aeroplane is landed to a nearby airport. But in this case, the birds had damaged both the engines of the aeroplane, and unfortunately, at the height of 2,800 feet, both the engines of the aeroplane stopped working. Considering the situation and their altitude, they thought landing into a river would be a safer option, so they landed in the Hudson River. At that point of time, the safety boats reached the location and rescued the passengers and crew members. This incident was also known as the Miracle of the Hudson, and it was one such incident in the aviation history in which the plane lost control at such a low altitude and still managed to have no casualties. Despite of the technological advancements, the aviation industry has still not found a solution to this problem. It was because of the group of birds that led to the incident, but one bird is good enough to cause a substantial amount of damage to the aeroplane. Not only the birds, but when the aeroplanes are present at the airport, there have been many incidences that have been reported during the loading and unloading. The jet engines tend to suck anything that is present nearby to it. Just to let you know, before the use of jet engines, piston engines with propellers were used to create the thrust. These piston engines had one problem, and the problem was they were not able to generate enough thrust. So, due to inadequate thrust, the plane was not able to get enough speed and enough altitude. The world's first jet engine was manufactured in the year 1930. This technology helps the turbine to suck the air and compress that air and mix the air with the fuel to help the aeroplane gain altitude and speed. The generated fuel helps to increase the temperature to a big extent, and that is what helps the plane to move forward. The weight of jet engines is lesser compared to the normal engines. Jet engines are also fuel efficient and they generate more thrust with lesser noise. For example, considering Airbus A320, a single engine of this plane has the ability to suck 1250 kgs of air per second. The air is entered from the front side of the engine. It clearly means that if the engine is running, it will definitely suck anything that is present in the surroundings very easily. The object can be any kind of luggage, any tree, any human being, or any small car. In this footage, you can see an E170 which is parked and the engine is turned on. You can see a crew member who is present in the tunnel losing control on one of the things which he was holding in his hand, and it gets sucked into the engine. Now we just discussed about the air that enters the jet engine. The pressure that is generated on the back side of the engine is called as the thrust. This pressure is more powerful than the air that enters the engine. The pressure is 100 times more powerful. The thrust that is released from an Airbus 320 can produce up to 1,27,000 kgs of pressure. And if we talk about the pressure released from both the engines, it totals up to 2,54,000 kgs. The power of the thrust is equal to the weight of a normal train engine. It definitely means that placing a train engine behind the aeroplane which is about to take off can definitely create a movement in the train engine due to the air pressure. In this footage, you will get a general idea as we see a Boeing 777 airplane which is ready to take off. The thrust power of the engine was so powerful during the takeoff that it led to the collapse of the truck that was stranded behind it. Apart from this, we have seen several other videos in which we see that people are falling due to the thrust that was generated by the aeroplane's engine. The power of the thrust has led to the death of one person till date. After looking at these footages, we have got a general idea about the power of the thrust. The airport authorities have prepared many SOPs to overcome these challenges. What would be the right time to come ahead of the plane engine and what is the distance that is to be maintained has been specified in the SOPs. The biggest risk is loading and unloading of the luggage because the loading and unloading of luggage is done when the airplane's engine is turned on. So to avoid any dangers, the use of conveyor belts has been introduced. Apart from that, there is a tunnel that is attached to the door of the aeroplane to facilitate easy onboarding of the passengers into the aeroplane. The purpose is to protect the passengers from any kind of dangers that could occur due to the jet engines. As per the aviation SOPs, there should be no object that should be kept nearby to the aeroplane's engines during the onboarding process. The jet engines can only be turned on when the staff completes their tasks and move away from the aeroplane. This sign is created on the jet engine only to identify whether the jet engine is turned on. These are the SOPs which are used to avoid any kind of human errors. But what are the measures that have been taken to control the accidents that are caused by the birds? Every year, the aviation industry faces a loss of $120 crore only because of the birds. The aviation industry and the airport authorities are trying to find a solution to this problem since many years, but there has been no solution for this problem till date. Many efforts have been made to keep the birds away from the aeroplane engines. And that is the reason we do not see any trees which are present inside the airports, especially close to the runways, because the birds tend to sit on the trees and make their nests on the trees. Airports are the only places where efforts are made at a mass level to get rid of the birds to prevent accidents. There are gunshots that are fired to scare the birds away. Scarecrows are also used to keep the birds away. Also, the voices of wild animals are played on the loudspeaker. There are also dogs and hawks present at the airport so that they protect the runway from other animals. Apart from these precautions, there are no other things that attract the animals that are present in the airport, like the open ponds from where the birds can drink water. Additional precautions have also been taken with the use of artificial intelligence in the form of robotic falcons. They help in scaring the birds away from the runways. Now you must be thinking, instead of taking so many precautions, why can't the jet engine be covered with a protective net? It will not only help in keeping the birds away from the engine, but it will also prevent any luggage from entering the engine. Actually, the sucking of the air by these jet engines is so powerful that any protective material that is attached to the jet engine will also get sucked into it. The protective layer may prevent the birds from entering the engine to some extent, but the bird will remain attached to the protective layer due to the air pressure, and that will create a disturbance in the airflow. Most of the times, the birds come into contact with the aeroplane during the landing and taking off because the birds cannot fly at a higher altitude. But as per reports, falcon birds have been seen flying at the height of 15,000 feet. One of the species of ducks have been seen flying at the height of 23,000 feet. These are the birds against whom precautions have still not been taken by the airport authorities. I hope you found this video informative. If you liked the video, please make sure you like, subscribe and tap the bell icon, and thank you so much for watching.